he's always posting good things about my podcast, and I'm not paying him anything. But anyways, seems that he likes to do that. I don't know. I don't understand, Dustin, but oh well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
instead of saying thank you to you, Dustin, I the guy is worth nothing. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to tell you that because I don't like when people trash other people. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, because I thought, oh, cool, his podcast is, good information, but good to know. I'll let him sink in the dust.
Yes. Well, my friend, I have a question out of curiosity. Um, do you have a girlfriend or no?
No.
You
I'm sorry to say it. I pretty much live in the blind community and at the Mall of America.
okay?
It's like every day I wake up, I normally start work at 10 a.m. and I work until like 9 p.m. So I normally wake up around 6, get dressed, eat breakfast, blah blah, hop on the light rail train from 9, get to work at like 9:45, get ready for work, and you mean at work more, like learn what rides are open, learn what we're selling that day, get up to the cash register, open my desk, and then I'm pretty much there until like 9, and then the desk closes the mall because the mall closes at 9. And then
Okay.
on my train ride home, I listen to a podcast I go on my Facebook, or
Right.
I pretty much live on Facebook on my way home from work or at work.
Okay. Okay.
You
Okay.
understand?
It will come to you, my friend. It will come to you when the time is right.
Hmm. You understand? You're always working all the time.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Okay. So I'm ready to start in 10 seconds, my friend.
Okay.
Hi and welcome to LVB Show. My name is Alvaro and I'm very happy to be with you tonight. Okay, before I introduce our guest, like always, I want to say thank you so much to people listening from the United States. We have listeners in Canada, in Australia, in Africa, in South America, in Europe, of course. In Asia, we have listeners as well. And well, tonight we're going to talk to a good friend, Dustin. He's from Minnesota. He's a visually impaired guy. He's in his 20s. And he does a lot for the community. He does a lot promoting good stuff about blind and visually impaired people. I think he's a great advocate, to be honest with you. In his studies, he work. He has done so many things at so early age. He's very young, but still, he has a lot of energy, and he's very positive, and he's very honest. Okay, and I want to say publicly, thank you, Dustin, for promoting my podcast when you don't know me. And I was blown away the first time you sent me a message on YouTube saying, "Hey, you should be on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify," and I said, I think Dustin is quite right about that. Let me take a look at that, and I made it happen more than a year ago, and it's been great. The audience is certainly growing, and he's absolutely right. For blind and visually impaired people, going into Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Anchor or any of those platforms is easier because you can block your phone and have your screen locked and be able to listen to that as you are walking, running, doing any activity. While if you are on YouTube only, the problem is that you have ads on there and it's a visual stuff and you cannot block your screen. And so it's less convenient for the community and you cannot download the episodes as you can on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and elsewhere. So, Dustin, thank you for being such a great promoter of my show.
You're welcome.
Dustin, I would like to start by knowing what is the cause of your visual impairment.
Um, my vision, I don't know it right offhand, but I can tell you it's weird because I can see a lot of major things, but a lot of the small detail stuff I can. Like when I'm at work, like what I can see the pizza place across the hall, like the glass, like for the pizza place and stuff, but I can't see the pizza behind the glass. So like a lot of like, and then the people behind the wall counter, I can see like, okay, there's people there, but I can't see the detail of the people. So like to me, like I can see a lot of big things, but a lot of further away you go, it's harder for me to see the details.
Huh, interesting. And no one has diagnosed you? What do you have?
Um, wait, let me look. I think I have vision impairment through the state. I am considered through the federal government visually slash legally blind. Um, the state said I could literally sit at home, collect Social Security check, and volunteer because they said my vision's that bad, and I could be getting $2,000, $3,000 a month, but from the state through Social Security slash
Mhm.
SSI. And but the issue, I'm like, I'm being, I tried that for 2 months. I'm like, I'm freaking bored. I volunteered at all the places I can. I'm bored of those places already because a lot of the volunteer places, like, oh, feed my starving children. You put this rice in this bag and you make sure it weighs this much. And then you seal it and we can ship it to. I'm like, yeah, that's a good cause. But doing that repeatedly, every single day, you get bored of it. And like and then we had people that come in like every Sunday and they really, or every Saturday, and they enjoyed it more because they were doing it on their day off of work, and they were coming in one day a week. But I was there like 7 days a week and I got bored. So then I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? So I went to school for IT support at Hennepin Technical College. It's in Brooklyn Park, and Brooklyn Park is a suburb of Minneapolis. And then the reason why I chose Brooklyn Park is because it's a suburb full of single family homes, but it has public transportation that runs 24 hours in it. So I can like on my way to school, I can see all the beautiful homes and the trees. I got to see people going into Fleet Farm and Walmart and Target and Cubs, and then on my way to school, and I guess see the grass and the snow and the little kids snowmen, and I can still get to school because of public transportation. Because here in Minnesota, most of our neighborhoods are single family homes, and then low income people rent rooms in those most of those people's homes, and then you just take some place like Metro Mobility or a bus, city bus, and you go everywhere you need to go.
Now, Dustin, you say you studied IT support. Have you worked on that?
The hard part is I graduated like 3 months ago and everyone's getting laid off.
Oh,
So, like, if you go online and you type in layoffs in IT, you can see everyone getting laid off at Meta, everyone being laid off at Twitter, everyone being laid off at Facebook and Apple, and then in these big like states like Washington and California, and they all can't afford rent anymore because they're laid off. So then they come back home, and a lot of them live here in Minnesota, or from the Minnesota or the Midwest. They come back home and they live with their parents, and they take jobs here because when I go to interview, a lot of them are honest. Hey, we're not going to hire you because the next interview is a person who's been working at Apple for 6 years, and we'd rather hire them because they have 6 years of experience.
Dustin, you are working now, right?
Yes, I am.
Where are you
I
working?
work at the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota. It's right next to the Minneapolis International Airport. That you can fly to South America out of that airport, to Kenya, Africa out of that airport, to Europe, to a town called Amsterdam. I don't know where Amsterdam is, but I know you can fly to Amsterdam in Europe. You can fly to Paris in Europe, and that'd be Paris, France. You can fly out of it to London. You can even fly out of it to Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam.
What do you do at that mall?
So when like you walk into any major door and you on the first level and you look to the right or feel with your cane to the right, you definitely should feel the counter with your cane. There's gonna be an information desk. And I work at the information desk. So I get people from Japan. A lot of people. Most of my customers are from like South America, and they actually flew to Minneapolis, Minnesota, to visit their family out in rural Minnesota, and then they're in town. They want to go to the Mall of America. So then after that, so we have a lot of Spanish translator at the mall. So then sometimes I have to call a Spanish translator and they translate for me because I only know muchas mochas. That means good night. And I can't say that to all my customers. So so then I get translators. One of my favorite translators, her name is Denise, and she lives in South Minneapolis. And she's originally from California, and she's second generation. And she moved here because of Minnesota because of more job opportunities for Spanish and all that people here. Mm-hmm. So then I call her over, hey Denise, I need a translator. And then she comes and she translates for me, and I help them get rental carts, like strollers, electric scooters, buy Nickelodeon Universe tickets. I help them book their hotels. And my job is just to make their life at the Mall of America better, because if people don't spend money at the mall or go Nickelodeon Universe, I don't get money. So
Dustin, two questions comes to mind. One is, if it's possible, of course, to give us a sense of how much do you make, because as you know, everybody I know tells me, yeah, I need a job, but they have to pay more than minimum wage, you know?
Oh, okay. I get paid $15.50 because the mall, they can't raise their wages any much because we get paid by the tenants paying rent. So if they charge us more, if they pay us more, they have to pay the tenants more rent. And then the tenants have to charge the customers more on everything in the store. And then, if we raise the rent too high, the stores won't be able to pay rent, and then the stores will go broke. And then the mall loses money. So at my job, you just have to, the highest people get paid is 18, and that's like the people who fix the rides. I like my job, even if I wish they'll pay me more, but I know they can't pay me more because if they pay us more, it affects everyone else in the mall. Because my mall is not a normal shopping mall. My mall has a theme park in it. My mall has shopping, like of course. My mall I work at has a food court, like 2 of them, because that's so many people. My mall has a hotel attached to 2 hotels attached to the mall. One is the 4W, that's the high-end one. And there's the Radisson Blu, that's the low-end one. And they're both connected to the mall by skyways. So if you're staying there, you can walk through the skyways without even touching the earth outside to get into the mall. And then I have to know where 545 stores are, and it's hard, so I cheat and use Google Maps, because I can't remember where over 546 stores are.
Yeah.
And then people come up to me and they ask me questions and all that stuff. And some days it's really hard because some days, like during like MEA break / spring break this week, that's where like all the American schools get a small vacation. Yeah. And I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids coming to the mall. And sometimes for going through the lines take hours because we're understaffed. So so then I am doing 2 persons job because we can't find enough people. But I survive, and I just do 1 customer at a time, drink my soda, and I just breathe.
And Dustin, so let me understand. If you calculate a month, how much are you making?
I can exactly tell you. My last pay stub, I made $1,500 a month.
Okay.
And I work full time. So I get my health insurance through the mall. I get my dental through the mall, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, where are you living? You're living on your own, right?
Yep. So last time since I talked to you, I moved out of my parents' house because my parents moved to Florida to retire.
Okay.
So I no longer live in the suburbs anymore. I live in downtown Minneapolis in the LaSalle Plaza building.
How much is the rent?
$950 a month because I live in an old building that doesn't have parking, doesn't have a gym, and doesn't have a swimming pool, because most new apartments in Minnesota now have an indoor swimming pool. So I live in a very old building that needs some updates, but I love it because I'm only paying $950 a month in rent, And I like my neighbors because they all do retail jobs like me. So we all can relate to each other. And half my neighbors, they know I have a disability and they don't judge me. So I love my building.
Now, can you describe your apartment for our listeners? How it's like?
Well, I am kind of a neat freak. So I'm a little bit different than a normal person because my job, I'm used to having to organize everyone's lives. So so when I live in a studio. So when you walk into my apartment, to the left there should be a bathroom with a washer and dryer, a sink, a shower. I have a stand-up shower, like a bathtub / shower mix.
Uh-huh.
And then I have a shower curtain with a picture of Zeus on it, like the Greek god on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you keep walking in, there's a kitchen. I have an old gas stove with black handles on it. Blind people like it because you can actually, my stove's very tactile.
Okay.
I have a silver sink, those big ones you see on TV that look like can fit, you can wash a small child in.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
And then I have a dishwasher because most Americans, we go nuts if we don't have a dishwasher.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
And then there is a fridge, those 2-level fridge that's white with little clear shelves on it.
Uh-huh.
I have one of those, and my apartment doesn't come with a microwave. So I went to, if you read about Target, the Minnesota grocery store, I bought a red microwave from Target. And because my uncle owns a farm, I have a lot of in my fridge, a lot of dairy products that he makes. So, and in the summer, he makes honey. So I have his fresh made honey in my fridge. And then I have a fold in my apartment. They gave me one of those in my living room next to my kitchen. Those beds that fold into the wall?
Oh yes.
My apartment, they do that because when you have guests come over, you can fold your bed into the wall and you have more space in your studio to hang out with people.
Right.
And then because I'm in a studio, my bedroom and living room are one room.
Oh.
So when guests come over, you can fold up your bed and then you can put your table right where your bed is.
Dustin, when it comes to rent, your studio is cheap compared to other places, right?
Yes, because in Minnesota, we're kind of a newer state. So we're building new apartments everywhere. If you go to suburbs like Maple Grove, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Plymouth, Wayzata, St. Louis Park. St. Louis Park is a big Jewish community. So if you're Jewish, you want to live there because you'll fit in really nice. Eden Prairie, Bloomington, where the Mall of America is, Woodbury, like that in Shakopee. Those are kind of the suburbs of Minneapolis. And a lot of the homes have been built in the last 20 years. So 95% of the homes have been built in the last 20 years. So Minnesota is a very new state, but that's on my side. But if you go to the St. Paul side of the river, that'll be the east side of the river. It's going to be a little bit different because St. Paul, that side of the Minnesota was built first when the settlements came. So some of those homes over there can be over 100 years old. But the Minneapolis side of the river where I live has been built in the last 30 years. So I live in the very new side of the state where to find old brick buildings is very rare. 95% of the buildings in downtown Minneapolis are beautiful glass reflective structures. But if you go to St. Paul, that side of the river where Minnesota's capital is, you get to see a lot of old, ancient 500, 600-year-old buildings made of brick. And their rents over there are going to be a little bit different because they live in that's an older part of the state compared to me where, my building has been built in the last 50 years.
Right.
It's because Minnesota, they charge based on the newness and the amenities that you come with it. So more newer apartment building you get, it's going to have more amenities. So then you're charging more, you're paying more for rent because your building has more options.
Right, it makes sense. Now, how is safety in your neighborhood?
My neighborhood, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, and maybe I shouldn't. I have a lot of homeless people and people addicted to drugs in my neighborhood, but I don't have a lot of like I'm gonna rob you kind of crime. If you go more
Right.
towards St. Paul, if you go towards St. Paul, like where a lot of the more low income people live, because the buildings are older and more crumbly and all that stuff, they have more of shooting. But with me, they have more shooting, robbery, and that kind of crime in St. Paul. But if you come more towards Minneapolis, you just have someone passed out with a needle in their arm in the street, and you can just step right over them. um, but it depends on the neighborhood too, because if you go more by Target Center in downtown, that's where more of the rich people live around the stadium, and you don't
Mhm,
have any of that. If
mhm,
you go
mhm.
to US Bank, another stadium in downtown, there's a bunch of rich people over there, and you don't have that. I kind of live in like the middle class. I kind of live in the middle class neighborhood of downtown, where sometimes the homeless people, the drug addicts, and the homeless people kind of flee to. But the good thing is they don't normally they leave you alone because unless you're stealing their drugs or trying to give them free drugs, they pretty much leave you alone.
Dustin, in terms of technology, what do you use in your daily life?
Um, because I'm an IT nerd, I'm gonna be a little bit different than most people. I have an iPhone because the only reason why I have an iPhone is because my dad he upgrades his phone every year and he gives his old ones out to his kids for free. So I am like, sure, Dad, I'll take this free phone from you. I'm not going to complain. So, because my dad, so I, no, if I had to buy my own phone, I would more choose the Android side because the Android side gives you more flexibility and stuff. Because
Mhm.
iPhone, yes, because I have some vision. If you're completely blind, I would advise you to get an iPhone. But if you have some vision, I would say an Android because Android you can change how big your apps show. You can it's a little bit if you have some vision, the Android gives you more flexibility to make it more accessible. But if you're completely blind, I advise you just getting the iPhone because you don't care if the icons are 2 inches big because you don't
Yeah,
see them.
yeah. Um, Dustin, I wonder at work, you say you have to go into Google Maps and things like that. Does your vision help you for that, or you need to do a lot of acrobacies and things, strange things to see the map?
Oh yeah, I have to be lucky on the computers that work gives us. I can use the zoom magnification
Hmm.
built into the computer.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, the person might say, I want to go to the West End Hotel over by the
Yeah.
airport. I go to
Uh-huh.
Google Maps and type in West End Hotel, and the Google Maps say, oh, you're here, and the West End Hotel is here. And when I'm doing that, and I'm explaining the route to the guest, that's when I use the Windows magnifier to zoom in on the map, and I can see the streets more detailed. And then I can tell them, oh, when you're walking out this door, you want to take a left, and you should see a tree over here, and you should see this hotel over here, and this is where you want to cross. And I can tell them because what really helps and helps me cheat, Google Street Live View, because
Oh,
nothing. And so then I can say, okay, if this person is walking live, and I can see what everything around it is kind of live, and I can say, oh, there's a crosswalk here, and blah blah blah. I can explain that to my guest, and then a lot of times the guest will call back my desk, hey, your advice worked. I got there in time, or I got there earlier than I thought, or I got there safer than I thought. So with my job, it's not about getting people rental strollers and getting them out of your line. You have to answer their questions. You have to help make sure they have the information so they leave the Mall of America feeling good.
Dustin, do you see yourself working there for a lot of years, or do you say, this is for now, but I'm gonna find something else in the near future?
I'm kind of torn on that answer because if I live closer to work, I would stay there for a few years. But because it takes me 45 minutes to an hour one way to get to work and one way back, I'm trying to find if I find a job a little bit closer where I can just walk to work, I would take it. But for now, the mall's not bad. I originally moved down here from Maple Grove to work at Nordstrom Rack. in downtown, but then the riots happened and the store closed. So I'm like, oh God, now I have a 12-month lease. What am I going to do? I have to pay my rent, and Social Security's not enough to pay my rent. What am I going to do? So then I applied for the mall, and I just take the train there every day.
Dustin, you know better than I do how the unemployment rate is big everywhere in this planet. I was talking to a person in Canada, and she was saying, no, I mean, maybe the US has 70%. We may have even 90%. It's crazy. What do you think is happening, Dustin? Why is so high everywhere in the world, and how can that be changed?
The issue is, I'm going to say, it's businesses. I don't mean to be hard and cruel, but my mother used to be a manager at a health company called Alina here in Minnesota. And she said the issue with a lot of managers, they rather hire they want to hire a sighted person that can do the job 3 times quicker than a disabled person that pays them the same amount of money and does it slower. Because we tend to feel like you are we tend to feel like you are accountant not accountant, you are scheduler, right? And you can do 3 calls compared to a blind or visually impaired in that time, compared to a visually impaired person who can do 1 call. So they rather pay $15 an hour to someone who can do 3 calls in 10 minutes than someone who can do 1 call in 10 minutes. Here in the United States, a lot of blind visually impaired people don't know it's all about businesses only care about money. So they rather hire someone who can go quicker and get things more done with less money. And the issue is blind and visually impaired people, it takes us longer to do things than a sighted person. So it costs them. So when they hire us, they're actually losing money. Because when I went to go to my dentist's office, that sighted lady who picks up the phone, she has to do 3 or 4 phone calls, pick up 3 or 4 phone calls in 20 minutes or less. Boom, boom, how can I help you today? What appointments? These are the days are open. Okay, this is the day you want. Have a good day. Hang up. Next person who calls. Oh, I'm blah, blah, blah. How can I help you today? Oh, we have an appointment open for this day. Click, click, click. Oh, have a good day. And she hangs up. You mean, for us, that's going to take us maybe about 10 minutes just to do 2. But for her, because she's sighted, in 10 minutes, she can go 5 or 6 clients. So the issue is we cost the company more money to hire than if they just hire a sighted person that can do it quicker and do it faster and do it more productive. So that's the issue in the United States. It's all about money, and we make the company lose money because we're not as fast and we're not as quick as someone who's sighted who can do double the work for lower pay.
Dustin, in regard to that answer that you just gave me, there is the other side of the coin, if you wish. I know some blind people who say, of course, I cannot guarantee what they are saying is true or not. As you can see, it's impossible for me to know. But they say, we have our screen reader at 100% voice, so it goes super fast. And we are able to work as fast as a sighted person. And we have to, because if not, we are not going to get hired. So, like, they are saying the same as you, Dustin, but they are saying it is possible for us to go as fast as a sighted person. Again, I have no way of checking that out.
I'm going to tell you, man, I'm going to start to say this.
Yeah.
And visually impaired people don't understand. Sighted people don't care. Sighted people like, oh, we have to pay for this screen reader. I'm going to rather hire this non-disabled person where we don't have to pay for the screen reader and save ourselves money. See, the issue is what sighted people, what the visually impaired people don't understand is I'm partly sighted, so I can fit in the sighted world. And I'm sorry to say this, and I work for the mall, and I can tell you is the only thing businesses care about is money. You're just a number, and if your number can outperform another number and give you money, that's the only thing they care about. They don't care about improving the disabled community. They don't care about, oh, let's make the world a better place. They just want money. And it makes sense. Because I'm telling you, man, the Mall of America, man, as much as it costed them to build, they can build a whole freaking Vikings or Packers stadium. Okay, and then during COVID, when no one was shopping at the mall, they almost went out of business. And now, during definitely pre-COVID, the mall is trying to like, we have to make up for all the debt and all the loans we still have to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to hire as many people as the lowest price we can to pay off our debts and still make profit. So the issue, man, is what a lot of people in the blind and visually impaired community don't know is these business people, they're not disabled. They don't have disabled children. Their children are healthy and have the best care because they have the money to, and they don't care about us. At least people think, oh, these business people, they will save us. All these politicians, they will save us, and they will improve our lives, and we will, and all disabled people be treated fairly. Unless we burn some buildings down, they don't care.
Well, I love your
That part.
honesty. I love your honesty, Dustin, because that's important to say what you have inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
so that's why
important.
Minnesota a few weeks ago, a
Yeah.
bunch of disabled people we went into the Capitol Rotunda and we protest because we wanted our PCAs to get paid better, because they're only getting paid $12 an hour, and who wants to be a PCA when they come to the Mall of America like me and just rent out rental carts and sell tickets and get paid $15.50? So a bunch of people have been leaving the disabled community careers, people that are not disabled, to join places like the Mall of America because of the pay. So a bunch of disabled people, we protested at the Capitol like a few weeks ago to say, hey, we want our PCAs and stuff to have better pay, and we want better housing and stuff. And I can tell they listen, because when like we stormed into the meeting room and we demanded it, there's no way that they didn't see that.
Good for you. We have to advocate always. Wherever we are, we have
Yeah,
to
because
advocate and
the
fight for our
issue
rights.
the
Yeah.
issue with disabled people in America is we're like, oh, we get Social Security and that's $800 a month. Is we're better than people in Mexico or Latin America.
Hmm.
Why complain and cause trouble? Because other disabled people, they get nothing, and they're starving and they're
Hmm.
hungry and they're begging. And
Hmm.
here in the United States, at least we get some Social Security money and we're not starving and begging. So they're just thankful for Social Security. Because
Right.
if it was up to business people and sighted people, we would get nothing. So they're just happy. They're just so grateful to get that $800 a month that they're not willing to risk that by fighting on the line for more rights and more demands.
Dustin, I want to go into that in the sense that if someone is listening right now, maybe is your age, or maybe is younger, or maybe is older, and says, okay, I'm legally blind. Where should I look for work anywhere in the United States? Should I go to McDonald's, or should I go to the Foundation Fighting Blindness, or should I go to the NFB? Should I go to the Association of Blind Veterans? Where should I go to look for work?
I end up going, be completely honest with you, I end up doing it by myself. Because I went to State Services for the Blind, and here in Minnesota at St. Paul. So if you see my post, you see, oh, I went to St. Paul today. That's where I went. Um, and it's by the Raymond train station. That'd be the green line, because the green line goes through St. Paul, blue line goes through Minneapolis. I took the green line, went to St. Paul, and I said, hey, I want a job. I want you to find jobs. The issue with those government organizations are they'll find you a job, but you'll be plumbing toilets. They'll find you a job, but you be cleaning dirty office buildings. They'll find you a job, but it might be part-time cleaning vending machines. I'm like, maybe it's just me. I'm more, a little bit more ambitious. I'm like, I want to do something better than that. So I'm like, I pretty much said, well, I guess if I want something better than that, I have to do this on my own. So that's what I did. I applied to the Mall of America by myself, got the job there by myself. I got the Nordstrom Rack job by myself. I got my McDonald's job before that by myself. I made fries. It was difficult because of my low vision, but I did it. And a lot of people liked it because I put perfect amount of salt on the fries. I worked at Cub Foods as maintenance. I literally put light bulbs into cash register machine. I'm like, I might die doing this because I can't see all the details, but hey, at least my bills are getting paid. I ran carts out in the cold because you don't hear Minnesota. We can get out down to -30.
Wow.
And so when it was blowing and no one wanted to come to work, I showed up to work and I ran the carts from the outside to the building. And I knew that I'm disabled and I don't get a lot of job opportunities, so I'm going to take advantage of this all I can. And I just did it by myself because the state agencies, I'm happy they're there to advocate, but they kind of suck.
Dustin, were you honest always with your resume and cover letter about your disability and in your interview?
No, because if you're honest with them, they're just going to discriminate you and say, nah, the job's just been filled. And if you go and check on their website 2 days later, they're still looking for jobs, applicants. So normally what I do is I go in an interview, and because my vision's just enough to be dangerous. So I can walk in, because a lot of office buildings in the United States, they just copy each other. So a lot of our office buildings are cookie cutters. So once you learn one, you can figure all the other ones out. So then I walked in and I used my cane to get up to the floor or whatever, and then I go in, I put my cane in my backpack and I just go for the interview, like pretend I'm like a sighted person. And then after my interview, after they get to know my capabilities, that's when I lie and that's when I tell the truth, like, hey, I have this disability and blah blah blah. And then they'll see, okay, he was able to get here by himself. He was able to find the room by himself. He was able to do the interview by himself. And oh wow, he's disabled. He can do a lot. And then there's a higher chance, yeah, of course, 95% of chance they're going to discriminate against me and not hire me. But it still believes an impression, wow, this disabled guy can do all this by himself. Because the problem, if you walk in there right away with your cane, me as a person in the sighted partly a little bit in the side community, they're gonna be like, oh, he's disabled, he can't do a lot. We'll just do the interview because the law says we have to, and they won't even take you seriously in the interview. I'm sorry, man, but that's the truth. Because like a lot of my coworkers at Mall America, when I first started, a lot of them didn't even know I was visually impaired. Because they thought it was weird because I had to look closer at the screen than everyone else. So they just thought, one of my managers thought, oh, Dustin's just weird because he has to go an inch from the screen to look. They didn't even think I was visually impaired until I told them, oh, I'm visually impaired. Because most people in the sighted community, they picture blackout or fully sighted. Yeah. They don't see that there's a middle ground. Yeah. And a lot of the times, like a lot of my coworkers at my first 2 months there, they thought Dustin was weird because he has his face 2 inches away from the computer screen. And they didn't even ask me about it. It was one of my coworkers, Trent. He also has a vision issue. He came up to me. I didn't even know he had a vision issue himself because I thought, okay, he's weird. He's looking 2 inches away from the screen. You know what I mean? I thought he was just another weird guy. Until he came up and texted me, hey, Dustin, do you have a vision issue like me? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And then after that, now I know that, oh, there's me, Dustin Lindberg, and there's Trent that lives in St. Paul and takes the bus to work every day. We both have vision problems. And then it makes me feel not alone at work now, because now I know if I have a problem, I can text Trent, and then Trent can give me a solution. Hey, Dustin, this is how I get around this at work.
Dustin, what is your dream job?
Oh, my dream job, honestly with me, if the state of Minnesota says, hey, Dustin, we'll let you start a nonprofit, and we'll give you so many dollars, and to create this nonprofit, I would do a housing initiative. I would use that money to buy land, and I would build housing for the disabled community. Because the issue is, you can't go, for centuries, we've been trying to convince sighted people, hire us, hire us, hire us, hire us, hire us, and no one's listening, and we're just yelling in the wind. We're just yelling in the wind, and no one's hearing us. But the way to make change is like, okay, we have this much money, we have this much funding. Let's build better housing for the disabled community, so then at least we can be more comfortable. Because until someone's like Donald Trump's kid gets a disability, or Joe Biden's kid gets a disability, or Nancy Pelosi's gets a vision disability, nothing's really, these big powerful people, nothing's really going to change for us. But the one thing we do have the power to is to do the small things. Like, cool, I got this $1 million grant. I'm going to buy some land and build better housing for the disabled community. So instead of living in this basement of some lady's house, we can now afford to live in maybe a 1-bedroom studio with a indoor swimming pool and a fitness center, and it will just be for disabled people. Because Minnesota, we have apartment buildings just for disabled people, but the issue is there isn't enough. We need developers to come here and build more apartments just for disabled people. And then I can improve the lives of 50 or 60 disabled people just by giving them a better place to live.
Dustin, I see that you're very good on Instagram. Can you tell us how do you use that application?
For me, I can see enough just to barely use it. So to me, I have to put the phone close to my face to see the photos, but I can see the photos. So the hard part is, if you're blind or visually impaired, like worse than me, Instagram's impossible to use. So that's why in my captions, in my below the photos, I put very detailed what I'm doing. Oh, I bought this at this place at the mall. This is what kind of drink is. So then like you guys can't physically see the drink, but you guys kind of know what I'm drinking.
Right.
Because on Instagram, it's very pain in the ass to add photo captions. So when I try, I'm like, oh my God, this takes like 20 minutes just to make one photo caption. And I still have like 10 pictures to post. What happened at work today? And also the reason why I do Instagram is because I only use Facebook for like people like you that I trust, or my family that I trust.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want bazillions of people that I don't know to follow my account.
Yeah.
So what I do is I made it after I graduated from college and I started activist more. I made an Instagram so people can see the public side of me that I want people to see without seeing my family drama that I share on Facebook.
Right.
So because the reason why I let you follow me on Facebook is because I know you better than you kind of know I know you, because I snooped on you. And your life is very public, more public than mine. So and then I read your posts about your business and all that stuff, and I'm like, God damn, I wish I had more ambition, because I could easily start something like that myself. But the issue with me is I want to be in the sighted world as much as possible. And sometimes it hurts me because I can't. Like when I was 16, I really wanted to drive a car. Everyone else in the suburbs, I grew up in Rogers, they were driving cars or getting the big, beautiful SUVs. Because I can see cars, I really love the look of cars. I like how I like sitting in them. I like feeling them. I like all the cool gadgets in the cars. But everyone else getting this big, beautiful SUV and these big, beautiful cars, and I couldn't. And I'm like, I wish I could be like them. And I just have a big, beautiful car, and I can drive out in the cornfield, smell cow poop in the morning and chickens, and see farmers work on their cornfields and just drive. I'm not a city person, okay? I'm forced to live in the city because of my disabilities. If Tim Walz said, Dustin, you can use a self-driving car tomorrow and have a Tesla, I'm like, yes, I can finally live out in the suburbs and in the cornfields and just have Tesla drive me everywhere. But until that happens, I'm forced to live in town, and I miss it. I miss like able to go out to see cornfields and smell cow poop and deal with chickens. I love chickens. They're dumb, but I do like them because they let you pet them and snuggle with them, and I just miss living out there, but I can't because of my disability. So I'm kind of like torn inside, like with that issue. Like I love living in town because I can I can take the train. I can be in St. Paul in 15 minutes. I can be in Bloomington in 15 minutes. I can take the bus and be at the airport in 10. And you know, man, I love that I can travel by myself, but I miss the country, to be honest with you. I grew up in a small town called Wake Park outside of St. Cloud, Minnesota, where I lived in a Latino trailer park. I was the only white family in the trailer park, and my trailer park was in the middle of a cornfield. I used to watch Spanish TV shows, but I cheated. I used the English. A lot of the Spanish TV channels in here in America comes from California. So the broadcast is from California, and California's smart. They put subtitles on their Spanish shows in English. So all these romantic Spanish shows I could watch, and I could read the subtitles. So I didn't have to learn Spanish. I just cheated and read the subtitles. And then the radio stations we had that were Spanish, because a lot of them were from Mexico. They were from central Mexico, so we didn't have the seafood and stuff. We had more of the cornbread and all that stuff. And then the radio station, they'll play one song in Spanish, one song in English, one song in Spanish, one song in English. And there was another one that would play the Spanish song version and then the English version afterwards. So then like you can hear both versions. And I loved it because they got to listen to the same music as me. I'm like, okay, this is the Spanish version. The English version's going to be next. So I grew up around a lot of Mexicans, I'm going to say, or we call them Latinos here in Minnesota. Yeah. But I never really had to learn Spanish because the people I hung out with, in school, they would learn English. Mm-hmm. So at home, they would speak Spanish. And around me, they would speak English. Mm-hmm. So I could interact with them in English with their Spanish culture. I like the Spanish holiday of Señorita when the girl turns like in 15 because they would have so much food and presents and dancing and music and they would always make me feel included. And the good thing is we're all in the mobile home parks, and we're also all broke. So there's no like, hey, I have Nikes, ha ha ha, you have lesser shoes than me. It was like we all broke and we all understood each other. Our parents worked at the factory in town, and they all got paid the same wage, and we all lived in the same mobile park, and it was just a nice, peaceful community. I trusted my neighbors. I knew all my neighbors' names, even if I couldn't say them properly because they're in Spanish. I had a good childhood, man.
Dustin, many people listening may wonder, how much is food where you live? Like, how much is a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner? Can you tell us that?
It depends on where you live in Minnesota, because I'm in Minneapolis, so it takes in downtown Minneapolis, the biggest city in Minnesota. So It takes more resources to ship food here. Okay. So I pay normally $2 more than what people do in the suburbs.
Oh.
So, like, for cereal, my cereal, like, in the suburbs, if you were, like, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, suburbs, you might pay $4 for a box of cereal.
Yeah.
For me, I'm paying $6.
Okay.
Because we don't have no trains to ship. Okay, so the good thing about the East and West Coast are they have hundreds of rail networks, so when the food comes out in the ports, they can train everything in. Minnesota, we're in the freaking up by Canada where we only really have highway access, and the only train track we have is that goes from Washington State all the way through North Dakota, through the mountains and stuff, all the way to Chicago. So we only have like one international train route, so everything has to be shipped here by semi-truck. So fruits and vegetables are more expensive here because to get them, because we're like a cold state, we have to ship them all the way from California, Florida, Alabama, and stuff, and they have to put them in a chilling truck so they don't expire on the way up here. But if you want food like corn, tomatoes, apples, food that actually is grown in Minnesota, you can get it for dirt cheap. But if you want food like grown that's down south, like grapes and stuff that we can't grow here in Minnesota, you're going to pay like $5 or $6 for it, for a pound.
Let's say a lunch or a dinner outside your house, how much you pay?
$15, $16, but that's for a burger and fries. Like if I go out to eat, I'll cost me $15 or $16 for in a sit down restaurant. At a fast food, it might cost me 10.
Okay. Okay.
It's
Okay.
kind of confusing because each city has different taxes. So if I eat
Right.
here in Minnesota, Minneapolis, it's going to be more expensive than if I go out to Brooklyn Center that has cheaper taxes.
Listening to you, I say you would be a great person to work in the tourism kind of
Uh,
jobs.
I was thinking about it, but that's Mall of America. We're not like tourism. We're tourism for the mall. I do kind of more tourism for the mall, not for the state.
Yeah.
But the issue is finding those kind of jobs are kind of hard here in Minnesota because I'm sorry to say, is most of those jobs are filled up by baby boomers. And the issue is unless people start dying, there's not going to be no job opening. Because a lot of baby boomers, they like those jobs because they can sit in an office, make ads for the state and all that stuff, and it's simpler work. And a lot of older people, they like that job because it's simpler work, so there's a lot of competition for it.
Right. Right. So, Dustin, what are for our listeners your final thoughts? Say whatever you want.
I'm going to say is I want you guys to think about coming to Minnesota. We don't have fancy things like New York, San Francisco, Seattle, Washington, but if you guys come here and you're just living off your social security check, you guys will have a better life because our rent, the highest rent here is $1,500. So, and that's for a new apartment building. So if you guys are getting like 2,000, 3,000 social security, or like you're living with someone, like 2 or 3 people, and you're coming here split rent, it's going to be cheaper here. We're a newer city, so we have newer trains, newer buses, newer sidewalks, newer trails, newer parks, and I love it here because we're from most of my immigrants here from Scandinavia, a cold, friendly place. And a lot of times, even when like we're not in the mood to be friendly, we try to be friendly, because we want everyone to feel welcome here in our state. Um, the 2 major cities, because I didn't get to that because I'm busy talking about a bazillion other things that don't really matter, is like St. Paul and Minneapolis. So if like you talk to people like Jesse, who lives on the St. Paul side of the river, um, he does like a gaming channel, and he works for State Services for the Blind. He's going to have a different life experience than me because I live with around fancy office towers and business people and tourist hotels because of the Mall of America and blah, blah, blah. But if you go to the St. Paul side of the river, you have the Capitol, single family homes. It's still a major city. A lot of older apartments that are they're even cheaper than where I'm paying because I live in a newer city. It's like quieter. The U of M, the University of Minnesota, is over in St. Paul. It's a different kind of life than where I live. So if like you interview someone from over in St. Paul, because Minneapolis, we have 4 major cities. Duluth, that's up by Canada. We have Rochester, that's like down by the Wisconsin-Iowa border. We have Mankato, that's by North Dakota-Minnesota border. And then we have St. Paul, that's the capital. That's, if I literally walk to the river, like a half an hour walk, and I look across the river, I could see St. Paul. There's St. Paul, where Minnesota started, and then there's Minneapolis, where, because St. Paul didn't have enough room, people are now moving over here. So it depends on where you live in Minnesota. You can have 2 different experiences. Like Jesse has it in St. Paul, who he does the technology stuff at State Service for the Blind. He has a completely different experience of Minnesota than I do over here, because the cities are built different. The cities have 2 different designs because it was built in 2 different generations. Mine's been built in the last 30 years. Jesse's town, St. Paul, has been built over the last 600 years. So there's even some buildings left that the Native Americans built. So just the designs of the cities are different. And what do you prefer? An older, slower town? Or do you prefer a bustling, like New York style city over here in Minneapolis like I do? So.
Dustin, finally, how can people reach out to you?
My email is Dustin, Dustin, Lindberg, Lindberg, 2 at gmail.com. And then, and also you can message me through Instagram, because if you guys try to message me through Facebook, message me. If I don't know you, I'm going to ignore you, because I work at the mall, so I get spam messages from people that want to know about the mall when I'm not working, and I get messages from, like, those people. Oh, I'm an influencer. I'll charge you $30 to grow your fans. So I try to avoid using Facebook Messenger. So if you want to communicate with me, I know Instagram's not the most accessible platform, but that's the only platform I'm willing to share things with people. And my Instagram name is Dustin Lindberg 2, because someone in Germany stole Dustin Lindberg 1, and that pisses me off. But on Instagram, my name is Dustin Lindberg 2, and you should see me, a lot of my pictures of me at the mall, because I'm sorry to say, 95% of my life I'm at the mall. and and Instagram's about showing what's happening in your life, and 95% of my life I'm at the mall. So
Well, Dustin, it's been great having you on. Thank you for that friendship that began on YouTube
yeah,
and it continues to flourish
yeah, and
these
I
days.
and one of these days, man, you
Yeah.
have to send me your website so I can post that in my group, because we have huge Spanish communities in rural Minnesota. They'll actually benefit by reading your website in Spanish. So
Oh, thank you, Dustin. Yes, I'm gonna do that today. Actually, I'm gonna send you through email for sure. Thank you for letting me know about that. And for our
yeah,
listeners, I say for our listeners, remember to be honest. I like honesty. I think honesty is the best policy in life. And I like Dustin because he's honest and he says what is in his mind. He's not hiding anything. He's just him. You know what I mean? And that's, in my view, is important. I always been honest, and I know our listeners have been listening to me for more than 11 years. I do this because I'm able to talk, say whatever I want to say, and share whatever I want to share, and have people that I want to have on the show that are going to give a good amount of information about the blind and visually impaired people in this planet Earth. So if you want to be on the show, remember you can email me at lowvisionbureau@gmail.com. And that's all for today. This is Alvaro from LVB Show saying good night. Dustin, that was nice. And I like your honesty. I really do.
yeah. And if you need me to do another one, I can, because I feel like I didn't tell. Okay, I told the basic information, but once, man, you see how those ratings go, I'll give you more if you need to.
No, but it was great. We'll have time for more in the future, I'm sure, Dustin, because there's so many things to discuss.
Yep, with other blind people, because I'm not the only person with a story.
Yeah, everybody has a story to tell, but not everybody is willing to be as honest as you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
because I have nothing. I'm one of those people. I'm trying my best. I'm not getting the opportunities I truly wanted. I want to work in IT, but that's not happening. So I'm just trying to brace my life the way it is, and this is what's happening in my life right now. Some
right,
days,
right.
man, I want to step in front of that blue line train, and just have it run me over. But I'm like, what's the whole purpose? I need to keep fighting.
Well, Dustin, don't say that. Don't say that.
No,
I
but I'm just
mean,
saying it's because man, it's sometimes, man, it's just like, but because sometimes, you understand being a visually impaired or blind activist is very, and trying to work is very drainful.
yeah, I
Like,
know.
you work your family business, you're doing this,
Yeah.
and then you're running your side business of helping blind and visually impaired people with therapy and stuff. You have, like, you're doing like 10 different things, and then you're interviewing me, and then you have to edit this. It's your life is like 10 bazillion things, and you're trying, and it's stressful time trying to balance everything.
Well, you're right. Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but something that I have found out is that when you are able to reach out to someone and make a new friend, a real new friend, because I consider you a real friend, not a friend of Facebook, where
Yep.
I have thousands of friends on Facebook, but real friends I have few,
Yep.
and people that care are few. Something that many people say when you say that you're going through a difficult time is sending prayers your way. But how many really pray for you, my friend? Not many.
Yep.
Not many. Many say that, but I prefer actions than only words. And people who are able to walk and talk to talk, not so many. So that's what I like, and yeah, definitely
Yeah, it
it's
doesn't help that.
important.
Yeah, like last night I read your email. I'm like, crap, I'm so busy at work taking the train, and I'm like, I forgot to respond to him.
It's all right because I know you are busy as well, and I understand perfectly well, and you are very responsible.
I try.
Because no, you are. I'm gonna tell you a little story before I go, and it's this: I am now participating in a Speak with Confidence program online,
Mhm.
and that's done from the United States and Canada. There are two blind women who are professionals in this field. Okay, so I signed up. It was $45, and it was like 7 or 8 people we signed up. Guess what? I'm the only one doing this because the other ones have failed to come into the program. I don't know why. They are making excuses. I'm not feeling right. I'm not. And I'm like, give me a break. Those people have more money than I do. Those people are working, are doing things. And why they sign up for this if they were not going to show up? So I'm the only one graduating, it seems. It's freaking unbelievable, my friend. I don't understand people.
I don't understand people either, but that's why like we do what we do.
Yeah, that's right. You cannot. I mean, you are who you are, and everybody has their responsibility, Justin. And if they fulfill it, it's great. If they don't, it's their issue, right? But we do the best we can, thankfully.
Mhm.
And having a good attitude in life has always helped me. Always. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm gonna keep it up. So, my friend, in about 2 weeks, I'm gonna be posting the interview, and I'll send you a link. Okay?
Okay. And then did I give you enough content?
Gives me enough what?
Did I give you enough things for your enough to say for your podcast?
You gave me more than enough
Okay.
because you were very detail oriented, which I like a lot. Many people, when I ask, where do you live? And they say, I live in Brooklyn. And that's that. They don't like to share. They
Oh,
don't
because
feel.
because I feel a little bit more secure because my building, unless you have a key, you're not getting in. Because I literally, man, my building literally has an armed guard. So
Oh,
so like if
okay.
you don't have a key, you're not getting in my building. And sometimes my building has to notice, hey, we tasered a homeless person trying to get into the building, and this is what happened. So my building has very good security, so that's why I didn't feel secure. I didn't feel nervous telling people the building I live in, because
Right.
unless they have my face on their face and they have my key, they're not getting in.
That's good. That's important. Safety is super important, my friend.
Mhm.
Well,
Well,
Dustin,
I'll let you get back to work because I
yeah,
know you're busy.
we'll be talking soon. But again,
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
what you do for
Trust me,
helping
I'll be
me.
reading your
You know,
next Facebook post. Tomorrow, probably on my way to work.
please do that. And
Yeah,
and by the
and then
way,
and then on I work on Sunday on Easter, and we're
yeah,
gonna have a bunch of Easter events on the mall. So I'm gonna try to see. I'm gonna try to take some pictures. So then
oh,
then I'm
nice,
gonna try to leave detailed stuff. So then after
nice.
that, you guys can see about it. Because the sucky part about the working mall, I have to work Easter, but I'm gonna try to make it fun.
That's the right attitude, my friend, always. And I had the luck of meeting someone from Minnesota many years ago. She was a sighted woman, and we met in New York City. Very nice blue eyes, I have to say, has that lady.
Did you get
Um,
my phone number?
yeah, I mean, we talked for some time. We kind of went out a few times in New
Ooh,
York. Um, the thing, Dustin, was that
it's
she
distance.
no. I'm okay. What can I say about it? I'm gonna say it, and then I say goodbye. Okay.
Uh-huh.
She. It was many years ago. Many years ago. She invited me to stay the night at her big apartment near Wall Street, and I said no.
Uh,
And after that, everything changed.
uh,
Why? Why did I say no? I got a little bit scared, my friend. Um,
okay.
I
Here,
was.
here in Minnesota, no one can get away with killing you. They'll find you quick. Because man, I'm sorry to say this. Every time someone does something, the first thing the cops do is check the lakes and rivers. They would find you fast.
Yeah, no, well, I was not scared of kind of that she was, like a murderer or something, but I felt I was not ready to that kind of put.
Relationship. I get ya. See, that's
Oh,
how I feel as a
yeah.
blind visually impaired person too, man. It's like, okay, because a lot of times like, the dating starts good and good. Then after I tell them after like 2 or 3 dates, hey, I just know I'm visually impaired, suddenly they ghost. And I'm like, hey, you see, I could pick up my fork and eat myself. You see, I have a job. And then magically, when you find out I'm disabled, you disappear.
But I thought, Dustin, that women in the Midwest were more good-hearted, more, I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to say they are to non disabled people. Like, if you're, like, when before she figured out I was disabled, she was nice. We went out to the movies, we hung out. We talked deep conversations, but once she found out I'm disabled, I'm cursed. I'm sinned, and next thing you know, she's gone.
Well, I'm going to do an interview, and I want you to listen to that one because it's going to be very interesting. I have a
Yeah.
friend in New York. His name is Marco. Maybe who you have seen him posting on my
Once in a
comment.
while, yes.
Yeah, Marco Gallo. Uh-huh. And he was able to find through a website a nice-sighted woman, and they got married online. And they're gonna tell their story because he was
I'm going
telling
to
me,
want to listen to that.
yeah, because he was telling me it's very hard to find a sighted woman interested in the real you. And
Mm-hmm.
this lady was interested in the real me. So I'm going to be doing the interview in the coming weeks. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I always think about dating, how it's for people.
Yep. And I try my best to promote your message because I agree with your message. Like with Aaron, I agree with some things he says, but to me in my world, oh before you told me, I'm like, oh, he's disabled. We're all in this fight together. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but now I know he doesn't feel that way. So I'll
Yeah.
just I'll just focus on you and my stuff.
Yeah. We have to focus on the people who are really
Actually
thinking about the
helping
others.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what it is that we are united in this. Wherever we are from, we are the same in in
We
what
face
we
the same
feel.
problems.
Yeah, of course we do. So we understand each other.
See,
And
like my stepdad, he's from Kenya, and he said, Dustin, if Dustin, you were in Kenya, the only difference is you'll be living in a hut with grass in it in a village, but instead you live in a hut made of concrete in a non-village. So no
yeah,
matter what, you're
yeah,
living,
yeah,
you're facing the same issues, trying to
yeah,
find
yeah.
the internet, trying to find a job, how to get to work.
Oh, and Dustin, I recommend you to look for Blind Professionals Network.
Okay.
You know why? Because it's free to join, and you have you can make new friends, and you can talk about jobs and things like that. You may find interesting people on that website.
Okay. Thank you. I'll look into that tonight.
Yeah. Okay, my friend, don't work too hard. Happy Easter and enjoy your life, my friend.
Hey,
Keep in
thank
touch.
you. I'll see you on Facebook.
Sure.
Bye
God
bye.
bless you. Bye.
Where's my mouse? Here it is.